courtroom transcripts and a programming note. An unindicted co-conspirator named Dieter is mentioned in this testimony.
Okay, so again, search November 18th. And sometime after that, sometime between November 18th and January 19th, you saw a portion of the rebuttal video, correct?
That is correct.
And one of the other officers said, look at this, and he was looking at it on his screen, and you came over and looked at it?
Yeah, it was a DVD or video.
Okay. And then the first time you watched the full tape was January 19th, is that correct?
That's correct.
When you first... Who was it that showed you this tape, by the way?
Detective Bonner.
Okay, so when Detective Bonner showed you this tape, he called you over and said, look at this, right?
Yeah.
And when you first saw it, it was rather remarkable, wasn't it?
Remarkable in what way?
I'm asking you. Let me ask you this then. It did not appear to you at that time to be consistent with what you had been hearing from this family up until the time you saw it?
When I saw bits and pieces of what he showed me on that day, I was not alarmed by that because of... I recalled what Janet had told me in her initial interview about them being forced to do that by Dieter. So it was not alarming to me at all regarding what I was seeing or the way she was acting, if that's what you're asking.
So forced to say things like, call Michael Jackson daddy and father figure and all that?
Exactly.
Okay, and you weren't... You sat here now, you've seen the cards where that's what this family does. They call people father and mother, and they tell them they love them, and they do all that, right?
According to the cards, yes.
You weren't aware of that at the time, were you?
No, I wasn't.
And now the defense tries to establish a pattern of behavior for the family of the accuser, and this judge says, I'm no Lance Ito, reminding everybody exactly who's in charge.
When did you first learn that this family would send very effusive cards and letters to people calling them mommy or daddy and telling them they're part of their family and that sort of thing?
I'm going to object to the question, as this family is vague. If he has specific people he wants to refer to, I think he should do that.
I'm referring to Janet, Starr, Gavin, and Davelin, whose names already show up on the cards and evidence in this case with regard to Palanker and Michael Jackson.
Just a moment. I don't know how this has deteriorated where both of you are talking freely to the jury about your questions. So let's go back to the...
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Let's go back to the specific objections and not respond to them. The objection is overruled. You may answer now.
Upon reviewing, after the search warrant, some of the items that were seized, when I was going through some of those items, I ran across some of the cards and so forth that you have displayed here in court.
Now, we want you to know that Janet, you heard mentioned, although her name is actually Janet Jackson, is the mother of the accuser. But with respect to this testimony, how's Robel doing, Sean?
Well, Robel's fine, I guess. I don't understand why Mr. Sanger allowed Robel to explain how the rebuttal video is not a problem as far as the police are concerned. The rebuttal video is very powerful evidence, and I would have allowed the rebuttal video to speak for itself.
Well,
not let this sergeant explain how it's okay.
Having actually sat in the listening room and seen the rebuttal video that they're talking about, it's not the video that we saw on the air that Jackson had produced. I think it was Fox or somebody else who ran it. It is actually the tape still running while they're doing the directions and that kind of thing. It's very, very powerful. I think it's a good idea, frankly.
You think it's a good idea to have law enforcement interpret the tape?
Yeah, it does, because I think it's going to point out a conflict, a very strong conflict, which I think, Howard, is going to be a point that you're going to want to make in about 3 minutes, and that is this whole idea of making this conclusion, making a judgment, and then doing an investigation following that before you know all the facts.
Well, this is one of those classic rush to judgment cases again. The appearance, as I said earlier, all roads seem to lead to Michael Jackson doing bad things, and so it's the classic, you know, aim, shoot.
Well, but come on, Ricky, I mean, after all...
I mean, you have to deal with the fact that the police heard from someone who said that he was molested. What are they supposed to do, ignore it?
And indeed, spoken like a true police commissioner's wife, you have to act on credible evidence. As testimony continues, tempers flare as the defense implies we're dealing with a persecution instead of a prosecution.
So, November 18th, you and your department formed the opinion that you had probable cause, you should go out and arrest Mr. Michael Jackson in this case based on what you had then, right?
That is correct.
And then you investigated the case after you got the arrest warrant.
That's incorrect.
You didn't investigate the case after you got the arrest warrant?
We investigated the case prior to the search warrant. We continue to investigate the case, and we are currently continuing to investigate the case as this trial is going on. This is a continuing investigation.
So, a part of the continuing investigation you're just talking about, for instance, is an attempt to discredit witnesses who have come forward to say that the are not telling the truth. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this as beyond the scope.
I'm not going to sustain the objection. Go ahead.
To discredit, no. It's when we receive reports from you as the defense that we have accusations or things in your reports. We're going to go and see if we can interview them to clarify and to make sure that that is correct. And we're also having other people coming forward besides your witnesses that you've talked to that we're following up leads regarding the case.
As the next witness, Detective Paul Zeller takes the stand, are there echoes of O.J. as the defense asks about handling of the evidence?
So let me ask you, was it your intention that the contents of this briefcase be evaluated and analyzed by the CSI or forensic unit at the Sheriff's Department?
No.
Did you think anything about that?
No.
You were wearing gloves when you seized this item, correct?
Correct.
And you put it in a plastic bag, correct?
Correct.
You didn't think forensics was ever going to look at this?
Well, I'm sure they would.
Okay, and you're sure they would for what purpose? Look at that for fingerprints, perhaps?
Perhaps.
Okay. Do you think that would be pretty much a priority?
Possibly.
Possibly. And in 2004, March and April of 2004, in that time period, this briefcase was brought to the grand jury in Santa Barbara. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it was your understanding it had been to forensics, right, when you brought it in?
That I'm not sure of.
You're not sure. By the end of the grand jury proceeding, you came to realize that nobody had checked for fingerprints on these materials inside of Sheriff's Item 317. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes.
That was kind of a shocker, wasn't it? It wasn't a shocker?
No, not to me.
You're kind of smiling. This, in fact, when that was learned, that's when you were sent in with gloves for the grand jury to look at the materials, so they wouldn't be picking it up and handling it. Is that right?
Correct.
However, during the course of that grand jury, the contents of this briefcase, Sheriff's Item 317, was handed to Gavin so he could look through it, see if he could identify it. Isn't that correct?
Objection, no personal knowledge, no foundation.
I think he's asking him if that happened, so I will overrule the objection.
I would not know.
So you weren't advised by the end of the grand jury proceedings that Gavin had taken the contents of this and looked through it at the request of the district attorney?
Same objection.
No.
All right, Howard Weitzman, let's go back just a moment. Where is the training that you keep talking about? We've heard cross-examination from the previous witness, and I suspect it will continue with this witness about essentially that rush to judgment theme. Okay, let me get this straight, says defense attorney. You made the arrest, you served the warrant, then you continued your investigation. That's good stuff.
Yes, and it's appropriate. It's appropriate. I'm not saying it's not. However, it's what they've done, how they've done it. The perfect example is the search warrant being executed, an arrangement for Michael Jackson to turn himself in. He flies in from Las Vegas. They meet him at the airport after he flies in with a private plane and then take him into custody there. If they're going to allow him to surrender, they should have allowed the plane to land, let him get into a car, and drive to the
Well, wait, that's not fair.
headquarters.
That's not fair. Ricky Cleveland, wait.
There's
Let
a
me
point
just...
I want to make,
Go ahead,
James.
go ahead.
The point is, it was set up to have a certain look to the public.
I disagree. I disagree. Ricky Kleeman, with respect to that surrender, one, this is a press-laden, intensive incident. The cameras are everywhere waiting for him to land. They had to provide the circumstances of security to allow that plane to pull in that hangar nose first. It may have looked like a publicity stunt, but had they not done that, the media would have been everywhere all over this Jackson camp.
It is called security. It is called order. This was the best way to do it, to assure that he would be at the courthouse, that he would be booked appropriately.
Sure.
The police really did, or the sheriff's department did, try to follow a protocol.
I think they did, and certainly that plays out. We'll discuss it,
I
argue
definitely
some
don't
more.
agree.
He does not agree. I'm so surprised. Still ahead, what Jay Leno said and an investigation of the investigation. Stay with us.
This Tuesday Tuesday night at 10. If Brittany's going to hit the catwalk, the pounds have got to come off.
You gained a little weight.
Problem is, it takes work, and the trainer's taking off.
It's over. She's not committed. I'm not going to waste my time.
Don't miss E's hit series Gastineau Girls. All new this Tuesday night. When? At 10. Wednesday at 10. Totally true stories told by the stars who live them. My Crazy Life. An all-new, all-true E series. Wednesday. When? At 10.
Now on DVD.
Go! Fight! Win!
It's the Academy Award-winning Best Animated Feature Film of the Year. And that's not all.
Yeah, baby!
Now it's the #1 DVD in the universe.
Totally wicked!
Disney presents a Pixar film, The Incredibles. Own it today.
I found a gown I really loved, and I loved the price.
David's Bridal announces the best sale of the year, the $99 gown sale.
It's beautiful. I love it. All the dresses here are great.
Gowns starting at $99, plus thousands more, $50 to $200 off. Come in now and pay no interest or payments for 1 year. Find the perfect gown at the $99 gown sale, now at David's Bridal.
I feel so beautiful.
Call now for your appointment. Sale ends March 21st.
There's a place where music floats and kangaroos fly, where stories are painted and every wave is as warm as every welcome, where you'll find a different yesterday, a different tomorrow. Australia, a different light. Experience Australia with the Qantas Air Pass, round-trip airfare plus 3 flights within Australia starting at just $9.99. Call 1-800-DOWN-UNDER or visit australia.com.
From the producers of Barbershop
Gina's Beauty Shop
and Bringing Down the House.
Oh, he is beautiful, ain't he?
Comes a story about what women really think.
Let me see what we working with under this hat. God, I'm having some Don King issues.
What they say will surprise you.
Is that a purse?
Ah, some man bag.
That's some man lipstick in that bag.
What they do
Ooh, you grew.
8,000 a pop.
will have everyone talking.
Girl, you could have bought yourself a Saturn with that.
Beauty Shop, rated PG-13, starts Wednesday, March 30th.
Think you know what's hot and what's not? Go to eonline.com. Join the ranks of the fashion police to rate the stars' latest looks. Or to get the dish that you don't want to miss, check out The Awful Truth. Log on now.
If you're deciding between DSL and Adelphia high-speed internet, maybe the best thing to do is consult your inner child. There you have it. If you're looking for a faster internet service, then the choice is clear. Adelphia high-speed internet. You get the fastest download speeds and the most secure online experience, all for a price that's less than you'd expect. So why settle for DSL? Call now and get high-speed internet for $26.95 per month for 6 months.
Used car shoppers save at Robertson Honda of North Hollywood. Choose from pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Vehicles so clean, people will think you bought brand new. And if you're looking for a used Honda, check out the Valley's largest inventory, including certified Hondas with factory warranties. Robertson Honda on Lankershim Boulevard between Burbank and Oxnard. Call 1-800-NEW-HONDA.
The reenactments and commentary in this program may contain frank talk of a sexual nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back. Detective Paul Zeller faces more hard questioning from defense attorney Robert Sanger. Here's what the jury heard according to the courtroom transcripts.
As an investigator, when you're interviewing a witness, you're supposed to get information. You're not supposed to convey to the witness what you would like them to say, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall now, having refreshed your recollection, that Mr. Snedden said, so, in your mind, one of the things that you're thinking is, they're doing this video that they want you guys to do, that if you ever told them the truth about being molested by him, that nobody would believe you. Remember that question?
Yes.
And then Gavin says, yeah, that they would use that and say that we're lying. That's what I think they used it for. I think that's why they told us to say all those things in the tape. They told us it was for so they could release the tape out to the media for rebuttal for what they were all saying, but I don't think they were like kind of forcing us to say those